Hello everyone, this is Scorched Earth Toys at NAMoon.com's review of Bandai's DX VF-1J 50th anniversary of Chogokin version. As always, do not trust my pronunciation of Japanese. You might be doing the math and saying Macross didn't air in 1974, and you are correct. This is the 50th anniversary of the term Chogokin being used to sell toys. Originally Mazinger Z toys by Popey, a subsidiary of Bandai that was ultimately reabsorbed into Bandai. Macross toys were never sold by Popey. Those toys were originally made by Takatoku before Bandai acquired the rights. So how is Bandai celebrating Popey's marketing term? By reissuing the VF1 in a color scheme inspired by the model company Imai's Iron Type. Bandai acted as an international distributor for Imai and ultimately purchased Imai's Macross molds, so this is just sort of an odd celebration of everything Bandai owns today with a 50th anniversary label on it. How can you get this toy? It was available only to residents of Japan by lottery on Bandai's Tamashii website, so you will need to purchase it from someone who won that lottery with the intent of reselling the toy. Bandai shipped the toy in August 2024 and charged 30,000 yen before domestic taxes. My advice, if you think you might want to own one of these, is to purchase it sooner than later because it won't be reissued and it's doubtful many were made. Like all Tamashii exclusives, it arrives in a brown shipper box. The retail style box within is high impact, with foil embossed 50th anniversary texts and a mirror-like finish on the top of the box. The box is the same size as a normal release, which is impressive because the toy comes with all the normal contents of a Do You Remember Love release, as well as the fighter mode banking display stand. The package includes a pilot figure, the gun with strap, 2 Gearwalk antennae in case you lose or break one, 3 pairs of fixed posed hands, a pair of intake covers, a pry tool to pop the swing bar off to allow more waist swivel, a pair of side covers. The top tray also includes the arm for the display stand and the Batroid mode adapter. A second tray includes the base for the display stand, the Gearwalk and fighter mode adapters, and the banking fighter mode adapter with the piece that allows a couple more banking positions. The base of the banking display stand and its arm are taped behind the tray. And of course, there's also a full color, unique to this release, instruction booklet. This is Bandai's 4th release of the Flight stand. This time it has a 50th anniversary logo. We've had a Hikaru launch version, we've had a Fokker, and we've had an Angel Birds version, which is plain, but it's blue, transparent blue, which is kind of cool. And now again, this one with that 50th anniversary logo. The stand allows the toy to bank. There is this piece here, which enables 2 additional banking positions. And then if you didn't use that piece, you have the option of being flat or way to the left or way to the right. So this one allows the more subtle banking that you see right now. And you know, if you're going just for fighter mode, there's nothing wrong with this. It's actually a pretty attractive display stand. It's very sturdy. It's going to hold the toy upright, so accomplishing its mission. If you're not into banking or 50th anniversary logos, then we do have the regular stand. There are no points of articulation, no banking. It lifts the toy, it holds it steady, and that's all it does, and this is what it looks like. One of the things I found very curious about this release is that it's a Do You Remember Love release, even though it's a VF-1J, and I usually associate the VF-1J with Hikaru. That's kind of his paint scheme on it, but instead we get this Do You Remember Love pilot, as opposed to the TV pilots, which have their hand in the middle for gripping the controller in the middle. They've got this heads-up display at the front of the cockpit. No heads-up display on the Do You Remember Love version. So I can put this pilot in here. It's kind of a loose fit, but you can see he would be controlling via that central cockpit, whereas this pilot is going to be grabbing those controls on either side. And we can also see the clear smoke gray plastic rendering of everything within the cockpit on this side, whereas you have those nice painted details on the TV releases, like the brown on the seat and the gray behind it. You know, it'd be nice if, as we turn this around, there had been more details in the front, but on this release, which has very limited areas you really want to touch, just so plain gray on the inside, but again, it's going for that effect, so you are getting that. And similarly, as we look at the side of the toy, zero markings, right? No markings up here, very plain. It's supposed to be about the different hues and finishes of the plastic versus what we see on other releases where we have lots of little emblems throughout, including all over the wings and the nose steps and that sort of thing. Again, just very sparse. The red stripes are really the only paint you're getting, those red accents. And of course, that is by design. I do really like that the gun is also rendered in that plated plastic. You can tell that this thing would be a fingerprint magnet, which is why you're going to want to have something like gloves if you handle it frequently, or just stick to the plastic area and the feet. That's what I'm going to be doing for most of this review, because otherwise it's really hard to handle this toy. Now, the air brake at the top is right here, and that's another one where you get clear plastic and then the details right beneath. That's pretty cool looking. As we look through, you got those wings that you could see the detail through the plastic back, which is a cool effect. And the transparent, you see all the way through the backpack other than that one stripe. It all comes together very well for what they're doing. Here's one more look before we move on to gear walk mode. And really, guys, it's this theme of different finishes that makes the scheme. So we have the shiny, we have the silver paint, we have the clear plastic, and then it kind of varies as it goes back. More shiny plastic coating towards the back. If you like the mix match and think it's cool, then this is for you. But a lot of people are going to be like, look, I think this is just 3 different flavors of ugly, and I would have liked it to be just pick one, make it all that. So there's room for that opinion also. As we look from the front, there is no clear insert on the rear landing gear door. That's another change here. I do like how these landing gear doors look being clear. And then as we come to the back here, the fact that the fists have these clear doors and we have the backpack being clear, I do dig all of the variation. I think it comes together pretty nicely. But if somebody told me that this thing was just garish, I'd get that too. The DX toy does a marvelous gear walk mode. I am a huge fan. I love, on this scheme in particular, how they do the chrome plated gun or gunmetal gun with the clear plastic interior and handle. I think it looks super sharp, but maybe this is a QC issue on just my toy, but that clear handle is very loose on the gun, and that's not cool. I also think the brown strap doesn't really go with everything else happening here. I think they should have done that strap black. And you might say, hey, silver's the color, why would you make it black? And my answer for that is the hands, and slipperiness and gloves is why I don't normally wear the gloves. But anyways, the hands, black fingers with a clear base, or smoky gray clear base. I think this looks really sharp, but it means the accents should have been black to sort of match this. Another good example of that is the antenna on the Gearwalk mode. This is just the exact same antenna that comes with every other DX-VF1, and it's rendered in just a flat gray that doesn't match this scheme at all, which is a theme that continues to the interior parts. These bits here and here and here all should have been done in black plastic. That would have looked a lot better. Instead, we get that same flat gray that's used on other DX-VF1 toys, and it's just a little jarring in how it doesn't match this scheme. Once you bring the arms down, you can no longer use the flight mode display stand, so you're going to be grabbing the basic display stand to elevate your Gearwalk mode toy. Once you use it, again, it just brings the toy up, holds it pretty steady, and you can engage those poses that would otherwise have balance issues. So it's a nice little accessory to have. I don't really mean this to be a review for all DX-VF1 toys. Hopefully you've seen some of my other videos because there's been several releases now, but I'll do a quick run through for the novices of what makes this toy special. We start off at the head. It's got a ball joint up here, so we can rock the head a little bit back and forth. And then these are on ball joints also, which they can pop off of. That one actually pops off a little easily, but we can go back and forth, in and out. So that's all good. Head can look up and look down as well. There's a neck in there, so all that's great. We move to the shoulder. We could spin all the way around. The shoulder has a little gimmick where this slides in and out. So we can slide it out to make it look a little beefier. And then we can come out all the way from the body. We can twist at the bicep, we have a double jointed elbow, and we have individually articulated fingers with several joints on them, so all good. I do like on this paint scheme that we have this chrome effect here, so that's pretty cool. I think that adds to this whole thing that's going on here. Moving down, there's a waist, but we're gonna talk about that waist a little bit more because to engage the waist, you have to choose to disengage a swing bar. So there's a housing right here. We'll take a look at that in just a moment, but for now, I don't have the waist engaged. We have ball joints below that can go forward and back. And as with most VF1 toys, if you come back, you're gonna hit the wing. You can open the wing, go further, or you can engage that Gearwalk joint. There's also a joint off to the side. And we have a knee. There's an extension at the knee, but still you're looking at about 90 degrees of movement. And what makes Gearwalk a lot more fun, and Batroid to some extent, is the fact we can extend the feet, easier to do without gloves on, and then they twist, go forward and back. So you can just do all sorts of very fun poses with this. And those feet are solid metal. There's metal at some strategic places, but the feet are solid metal, which means you don't run into a lot of balance issues. This toy is very sturdy on its feet. So now let's talk about that waist articulation. There is a swing bar that usually comes down into this housing, and when it's connected, that means that you do not have waist articulation, but you can open the housing, swing the bar up internal to the back, and then that does enable the twist point at the waist. So there you can see, it is twisting quite a bit. And that's all good, another point of articulation. Now, you can also see there's some weird sloppiness going on with the nose cone where it pops out. That's for a GBP or grenade box protection armor. You might also be able to see, I've got what looks like some little scratches in the chrome plastic. I don't know how those would have gotten there, if that was in the packaging or through my handling, but something to be concerned about going forward, that these pieces might end up getting scratches all over them if you actually handle the toy. And then on some DX toys, this housing pops out pretty freely from that back plate. And if it does, the hips become pretty wonky. So that can be an annoying feature. And generally, when I handle my toys, even though it is nice to be able to twist, I don't ever engage that. Some of you might be watching this video and going like, hey, why isn't he talking about the fact that this scheme doesn't even represent what we see in the TV show? This is a very special release, everybody. There is, of course, a regular release, and this is what it looks like. And I'm hoping to show you just how unique this is by contrasting it with the regular release. And you can see just a completely different beast, very unique in what we get on this 50th anniversary of Chogokin release. Chogokin? I think that was it. The covers here, they're chrome. I wish they had gone with the translucent plastic. Maybe it's too much translucent plastic in one place, but that would show you the intake fans potentially behind it, which I think would have been a cool detail. The use of the translucent plastic is pretty cool in several elements. Maybe not for everybody, but so we have the hip intakes, and these are clear plastic, and you can see underneath here, you can get that extra joint here, and you see the metal sliding within. And so it's always cool to be able to see kind of these internal mechanisms that go along with these toys. And the same is true up here in the elbow, right? We can see that piece pivoting inside the elbow. I think that's cool. The air brake being clear in Batroid mode, a little bit jarring, but you know, still you're seeing internal detail. That might be considered cool by some folks. The heat shield is translucent. But fortunately, it's translucent enough, or it's opaque enough, I should say, that pilot within is almost entirely concealed, but still a very bold choice there. And it's only in certain lights I think I might see a head behind it, so it's good enough. There's translucent side covers also. That doesn't really do much of an effect. And then as we turn the toy around, we've already seen how the translucent plastic up here reveals the wings within, which is cool. The whole backpack being translucent and folded over looks nice there, especially with the vertical stabilizers behind it. So the clear plastic has some really cool elements to it. And of course, this display stand also works in Batroid mode. The adapter grabs the front of the nose cone and at the hips. It's a very secure connection, sometimes a little too secure. I actually cracked one of my adapters pulling the toy off in Batroid mode, but because it is a secure connection, it's gonna hold that toy up. It's not gonna get knocked off. You can manipulate it however you want. You're not gonna have any center of gravity issues. You're not gonna have any balance issues. So it could be a little bit more fun. Now, I don't think cameras or video do this toy justice. It's really hard to photograph something that's dark and very reflective. I think you're gonna find it more impressive in person, but like I said at the beginning of this video, you're gonna have to make that decision soon, or you're probably gonna end up paying a big premium. So consider that. Did I miss something? If I did, please leave me a comment. Let me know. Help make me a better reviewer. If you've enjoyed this video, I always appreciate those thumbs up. And if you're into robot toys, do subscribe. Thanks everybody for watching.